Welcome to the Compass Show. I'm super excited. We're still traveling around the world, and we have two very, very special guests with us. And with that, let's get started. Let's start off with them each introducing themselves with their name and what city they come from and what grade you are in school.
Okay, my name is Julia. I'm from Sweden, from a city called Kungsbacka, and I'm a junior, so 11th year.
Kungsbacka, did I say that close to right?
Yes.
I'm sorry, I'm sure I didn't get it exactly right. How large of a city is it?
It's, if you count the main city and its surrounding areas, there's 20,000 inhabitants.
Okay, 20,000, okay.
Medium big.
Size, yeah, okay. Yeah.
I'm Alessio and I'm from Italy.
Okay.
My city is Teramo.
Teramo, okay.
And I'm a junior here, but I have other 2 years over there because we have 5 years of high school.
Oh, you have 5 years of high school in Italy. Very interesting. Let's continue talking about your hometowns. Tell me, if you could paint a picture, what would your city look like? Are you in the mountains? Are you in the ocean? Do you have lots of trees? Just tell me what your hometown looks like.
I live on top of a hill, and Kungsbacka is Swedish for King's Hill.
King's Hill, okay.
Something like that.
Yeah.
And it's not very mountainous, but I live about an hour away from the sea.
Okay.
And I also live about an hour away from Sweden's second largest city, Gothenburg.
Gothenburg.
And there's like 580,000 inhabitants.
Okay, so it's much larger.
Yeah.
580,000, okay.
We have like a small inner city area, and we have 2 shopping malls.
Oh, 2 in your town of...
Yeah, in my town.
Of 20,000.
Yeah.
Okay, 2 shopping malls, okay. Okay.
Yeah, there's forests all around it.
Okay.
I like to joke and say that wherever you are in Sweden, if you just walk far enough in one direction, you'll either reach forest or sea.
Forest or sea? Oh, that's good to know. What's your hometown look like?
I live by the hills.
Okay.
We are at 45 minutes from the mountains and 45 from the sea.
Okay.
And it's 65,000 inhabitants.
Okay.
But in summer I live by the sea for 3 months.
Okay. So you move closer to the sea in the summer. Wow. You guys must have some very pretty country where you come from. Sounds gorgeous. Let's talk about back home still. Let's talk about, what's your normal day of school like back home? What does the day look like? How does high school happen back home? Do you have many classes? Do you have the same classroom? What's it like?
Well, in Sweden we have different classes every day.
Okay.
So not like here at all. That means that the schedule varies from day to day. So one day I'll start school at 8:15.
Okay.
One day I'll start school at 9:20.
Oh, okay.
And same with ending times. I end from somewhere between 3 and 5.
Okay.
Yeah.
So that's quite different than from here. Each day is different.
Yeah.
Yeah, okay. And you?
Yeah, we change class every day.
Okay.
And we have 5 years.
Okay, you have 5 years. That's very different than from here, yep.
5 hours every day.
5 hours,
and we don't have lunch at school.
Oh, that. Let's talk about that, lunch at school. So what's that experience like for you here in Marshall? The first time compared to now might be a bit easier, but what was your first impression when you had lunch at school here in Marshall?
Swedish lunch food is really good, and it's also free.
Okay.
So it was a bit weird coming into like a crowded, small cafeteria, like getting your tray and getting your food. It's like we have like real plates, and we have glasses, and we have we get to have knives to eat with, and we have like a nice salads bar, and everything's included.
Okay.
So coming to America and like ordering things, either just like the regular day-to-day menu or the one that's
separate
the pizza
alone.
and the extra stuff. That's a bit weird to me.
Yeah, and I think that's really interesting that you mentioned the knife, because from having traveled with the kids, the knife is a normal piece of silverware that you use regularly with your meal. It's not just for buttering your bread.
Yeah.
You know, so it's used in a different fashion perhaps than what we typically use it for here in the U.S.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't like food at school here.
Okay. Okay. Just a whole different,
Yeah,
whole different
because
experience.
we go at home,
Yeah.
so my mom cooks for me.
Oh, sure. So yeah, that's right. You said you don't have lunch at school, so you get to
Yeah.
go home. So you're used to your mom's cooking,
Yeah.
which is always very special. It's just how you're used to being raised. Let's talk about school here in Marshall now. Your first day at school. What was the experience like? When you look back, you go, I don't know how I ever made it through the day, but I did. So talk about that experience.
My first day at school I was kind of scared. And some awkward things happened too, but don't want to talk about that.
Okay.
It was nice. No one really knew that I was an exchange student. People thought I was from Canada.
Okay.
For
well,
some
that's
reason.
Interesting. I wonder why. That's interesting, yeah.
I'm not sure. But it was nice. I talked to some people and they were all very nice to me, especially when they learned that I was an exchange student. And they were like, oh, I'll show you around. Come
Okay.
sit with us. And it was really nice. Yeah.
Well, that's good.
Yeah. And I think I didn't make a lot of friends, but I made some friends very quickly.
Okay.
Yeah. So
Good.
that's nice.
Good. That's an interesting subject, but we'll get on that later.
It was weird because I didn't know anyone.
Mm-hmm.
But like when people know that you are an exchange student, everybody wants to meet you and to talk with you. Yeah.
Okay. So that kind of helps break the ice
Yeah.
and takes down the barriers of where do I go, what's going on. You kind of got someone to at least talk to. You were talking about friendships, and I always find this an interesting topic with exchange students. You said you made some very good friends, but not very many. So let's talk about that. Back home, would you say you have a lot of friends, which I think is probably more normal? What are your thoughts on that?
I've always had very niche interests, so
Okay.
I don't have a huge group of friends.
Uh-huh.
Like I have a couple of very close friends, and then I
Yeah.
have a lot of acquaintances.
Right.
And I think that's very common in Sweden.
Yep.
Swedish people usually do have a couple very close friends, and
Right.
then just many acquaintances that they're not very close to.
Right. Okay.
Yeah.
What's your experience with friendships?
It's very different here
Okay.
because here changing a class every block, you meet a lot of people, but usually friendship are not very deep.
Yep.
And in Italy, we stay in the same class for the whole day, so friendship are more deeper.
Right.
And we usually hang out like during winter, once a week, during summer, every evening.
Yeah. Yeah. So I can see that. I can see where it would be deeper, and then you're saying that when you come, you continually are changing classes. So it's hard to develop those friendships without a lot of work on your guys' part, mostly, more unlikely. Very interesting. What about the Marshall School Day was so different that you're going, oh, wow.
I think, yeah, like changing classes all the time, changing the people you have classes with
Okay.
is very different. And having some long classes and short breaks
Okay. Okay.
different. We have like an hour classes, and then we have 15 minutes break between them.
Oh, 15-minute breaks. Okay. Okay. Very different. What are your thoughts on that with the...
To think that you every semester you change all your classes.
Okay. So back home then, do you have the same classes for the entire year?
Yes.
Okay. You too?
Yeah.
Okay. So that would be really different.
Yeah.
Do you get to, back home, do you get to choose your classes like you do here, or you kind of have this grade you take these classes, this grade you take those classes? Or is there a variety?
You choose a program,
Okay.
and the program you choose is often related to what you want to study.
Okay.
So if you want to be a doctor, you choose like a science
Class, yeah. Okay.
program.
Yeah.
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 So, and those programs have decided classes, and then within the programs you choose specialization sometimes.
Yes.
So, and for example, when I get back, I'm doing the social studies program.
Okay.
And then there's like a social studies media group and a social studies international group,
Oh,
and a
okay.
social study economy group. So,
Okay.
yeah, that's
So very, very different, yeah.
yeah.
So it's kind of like you choose kind of where you like to study after school, and they gear the classes toward that.
Yeah.
And then within that, you may have some ability to choose certain areas of interest within that study.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You
Is it-
choose the school.
Okay.
So, like in a city, there are a lot of schools, and there are like scientific, humanistic, art, languages,
Okay.
dance, a lot.
Yeah.
And but those subjects that you choose are mandatory. So
Okay.
if you choose a school, you have to do all
Those subjects.
Yep.
Yep. So it ties into the school, what its vision or focus is on, then the
Yeah.
classes are based on that.
Yep.
Wow. So that's been a big change then here in the U.S. Most definite change. Let's go on to food. What's a food you miss from home? What's a food you miss from home? Is there a food you're going, oh, I wish I could just... Besides your mom's home cooking, I'll make you really think. No, you can have your mom's home cooking, but is there a favorite dish?
My dad cooks most of the food in my place.
Yeah.
And he makes amazing food. For my birthday, he would always make my favorite dish, which is really time-consuming. It's called, what's it called? I can't remember the word, but it's like meat wrapped in a hamburger, wrapped in a kind of pastry dough.
Okay.
And it's so good. And I really missed it on my birthday this year.
Okay. Very specific. That sounds scrumptious. And what's food do you miss from back home?
In Italy, we have a lot because each region has its own food.
Okay. Mm-hmm.
And because like 150 years ago, Italy was separated in all different states.
Yep.
And each region has its dialect, its foods.
Sure.
Yeah, and we eat a lot of pasta
A lot of
every day.
Did you have an experience with pasta here and how it's like, oh, pasta, and then you taste it, you go, oh, pasta. Like, it's so different. It's
Yeah,
the same, but it's so
completely
different. Yeah, yeah.
Because we don't have like Alfredo fettuccine or
Yeah.
spaghetti and meatballs.
Okay.
Pizza is different.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Very, very different. Yeah. Let's talk about foods here in Marshall or in America, wherever it may be. What's one of your favorite American foods, if you have one? What's a food that you like here?
I really like hamburgers, but you can have hamburgers in Sweden too. But something I'd never had until I came here was mac and cheese.
Mac and cheese.
And I think
Okay.
the ones I've had has been at a restaurant here in Marshall. It's been really good. I've never had homemade mac and cheese, but I've
Okay.
had it at a restaurant.
Okay.
Burgers.
Burgers.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Let's go then to my other question, which I always love asking. What is the American food that you're going, really? They eat that stuff? A food that you try and you're going, no, not for me. There's always something
Yeah.
when you travel.
Well, this was because of a misunderstanding. But I heard people talk about biscuits and gravy, and where I'm from, biscuit mean cookies.
Oh,
So I thought the people were dipping
Wait,
cookies in gravy.
That would be hilarious. I could see that.
Yeah, and I thought that was such a weird thing. Like,
And you're
why would you even do that?
Yeah, why would you put a sweet cookie in gravy? I mean,
Yeah.
really, what's wrong with you people, right? Oh, funny.
I don't like candies, but I don't like candies in general.
Okay, okay. So that's always the food that
Yeah.
you don't like. Wow. Let's talk about your families back home. Mom, dad, do you have siblings? What do your parents do?
Yeah, well, I have a mom and a dad, and
Okay.
I have a big brother, but he doesn't live at home anymore.
Okay,
30 years old. So,
okay,
my mom works as a judge,
okay.
which is the legal system is very different in Sweden. And my dad works as a major in the Swedish Army,
Okay,
and my brother is a regular soldier in the Swedish Army.
okay. Now, you made a very interesting comment to me. You said your mom is a judge, and then you added the comment, the legal system
Yeah.
is very different in Sweden. Can you give us a little explanation of why that flew through your head?
Well, I was thinking because in Sweden we don't have juries, so
Okay.
the judge makes the final decision,
Okay,
and it's made based on previous cases.
okay,
So whenever my mom wants to make a decision, she has to go through a huge database with previous crimes to
Okay.
see how did this person in 1998 judge this crime that's very similar to the one I have right now.
in front of her, yeah.
Yeah, so
Okay.
it's a lot of work that goes into every case.
Case.
Yeah.
So she uses a lot of history and then also the current case and
Yeah.
tries to figure out how it should come out.
Yeah.
Wow, okay. All right, what about your family?
I have a sister.
Okay,
She's 22.
okay,
I'm very attached to her,
okay.
and she works at Disneyland Paris.
Oh, okay. A little bit of the U.S. and in Italy,
Yeah.
right? So to speak, it's very different, I'm sure. But, oh, cool. All right. So those are your families abroad. Let's talk about your families here. Who are you being hosted by? And do you have any siblings here?
I'm being hosted by the Tysons.
Okay.
And yeah, I do have a host sister, and she's amazing.
Okay.
It was we were friends at school, and that's why they decided to, when I had to move from my first host family, because they were just a welcome family.
Yep.
They decided to call her and ask her family if they want to host me.
Okay.
And I'm really grateful that they did, because we have so much fun every day.
Oh, wonderful.
Yeah.
In your host family?
Lozinski,
Okay.
and I have 4 odd siblings.
Okay, 4 siblings. Do you have siblings back home? Your sister.
One sister, yeah.
Sister. So is that very different for you having 4 versus 1? Has that been a
3 of them don't live at
okay?
home, so
you're back down to 1 sibling.
yeah.
So very similar to back home. What, when you were coming here from all your different destinations, where you came out from Minneapolis, St. Paul, I'm kind of assuming, correct? Or Chicago, one way or the other? Chicago.
Yeah.
What were you thinking on that drive from Chicago, and you kept driving and driving? What was going through your heads at that time? Do you remember?
Well, we had 2 separate trips, one from Chicago to Minneapolis, and then
Yeah.
from Minneapolis to here. And on the first trip, it was an 8-hour bus trip
Yep.
that I got on at 1 or 2 a.m.
Okay. Very early in
Yeah.
the morning.
earlier. We arrived at 4 or 5 a.m. I can't remember exactly, but I remember I was very tired and I didn't think a lot. I slept.
Yeah.
And then on the drive here to Marshall, my first host father picked me up, and I felt so terrible because I had no idea what to talk about. So I was just sitting there, like twiddling my thumbs and not saying much.
Yeah.
And I felt really antisocial, but I was really scared and kind of shy and
Yeah.
nervous. Yeah.
Not sure of what was to come. I'm here, but now what, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, it was horrible because I had traveled 10 hours from Rome to London and from London to Chicago, and then 8 hours of bus from Chicago to Minneapolis.
Okay. Yeah. That's a long journey, isn't it? you're very excited, and then they give you this long journey to help either settle down or make you wonder, what am I doing, right?
Yeah.
Let's talk about that. You're both exchange students, and we have people out there watching, and my question to you would be, why would you tell any of them out there, go ahead and be an exchange student? It's the best, it's the worst. What's your, why should they be an exchange student?
It's so much fun. My favorite part of all of this is probably meeting all the other exchange students.
Okay.
I really love the orientations and the gatherings when we all get together.
Okay.
I love learning about different cultures and different countries.
Okay.
It's, yeah, and just taking part of others' cultures and being kind of almost integrated into another type of society for a while.
Right.
It's an experience that you don't often get the choice, like get the opportunity to, because if you move to a country, you don't really have anyone there to help you.
Right.
But if you're an exchange student, you'll have your classmates and you'll have your host family and you'll have
Right.
AFS helping you.
Right.
So, yeah.
I like the word that you use, integrated, because I think a lot of people perhaps will travel here or there and, you know, go on vacations, but I think that's very different than being an exchange student for a length of time, a year, because you really do become part of the community or part of the family that you're in, and that's probably a more true experience of what it's like to be in the U.S., at least this portion of the U.S., because we're such a big country, it varies that way too. What about your?
I think that it's a beautiful experience because you meet a lot of people, and also with the other exchange student, there are a lot of Italians here in Minnesota.
Okay.
And we talk a lot, yeah.
Okay.
And if you travel, you don't go in the culture, but you see only the physical things.
Yeah, very true. I like how you guys are both talking about that you've really made those connections in there. What is one thing you've learned about yourself this year as a person? What is one thing you've learned about yourself as a person? Have you become stronger? Have you become more dependent, less dependent? What's one thing?
I think I said this to my friend today, but now I have no idea. I can't remember what it was I said. I think I've definitely become more independent. My family back at home, we still talk a lot, and they help me with things like if we had some trouble with school back in Sweden, and they helped me take care of it.
Sure.
But I feel like I've become a bit more independent because you kind of have to when you don't have your parents supporting you
Right.
with every move. Yeah.
Yeah. That's a wonderful thing to learn.
Yeah.
It'll be a good thing for life. What about you?
Stronger psychologically.
Okay, yeah.
Because at the beginning you are alone, and you have to find, friends, people.
Yeah. And I don't think that's something that most people out there who are watching, I think those are very good points. Stronger psychologically, I mean, people don't think about that. So if I would pick one of you up here, go and plop you down in their country and say, enjoy, see you in a year. I mean, think about that. All your friends are gone, all your normal activities are gone, all your normal foods are gone, your family's gone, and you know, the way you do things are gone. But on the backside, you became stronger, and now you have a new family, you have a new community, you have new connections, so that's pretty awesome through the year. So if you could say one thing to your host family, what would it be?
Thank you.
Thank you.
Very much. Yeah.
Yeah.
Thank you. How about let's conclude with saying goodbye in our native languages. So either goodbye or good night, whatever comes to mind.
Hej då.
Hej då.
Ciao.
Ciao. Okay. With that, goodbye and good night.